So I need a way to communicate this particular frame in the draft environment, this element here, and I need to do it fast. One of the things we can do in Solid Edge, we can select multiple parts, any number of parts, and hit show only. And then once we have the parts displayed that we want, we can save that as a display configuration. And what that means is that we can toggle very quickly between certain parts being displayed or certain parts being hidden. What's useful is that we can use these display configurations in a draft, and I'll show you how this is going to apply to us. I'm just going to hide this particular part and just have this frame member shown. And I'm going to save that as a display configuration. I'm going to call it frame member 1. I've already got this list pre-populated with some names that might be useful when designing welded frames. So I'll hit that, and now I've got frame member 1. So that means now I can toggle back between my default display configuration, which is everything shown, and frame member 1, which is just that frame member. In fact, these are pretty easy to create. We can go through these and create a couple more just by picking these default names from the list. And then once we've got those down in there, now we haven't defined what's being shown in these. We've just saved them all as the same thing. But I've got something called the configuration manager. And what that does is it puts a little checkbox next to what's shown in which display configuration. So for these ones here, I can group select them and hide everything. And then go along and for each one of these, put a check mark in different frame components so that I can have a display configuration for every different frame component if I want to. So now, for example, if I go to frame component 2, I'll have a different frame component, etc., etc. Okay, so going back to, I guess I'll go back to my default. Notice too that we can put any combination of these as well. I can show 2 frame members at the same time if I want, which is really handy. But what I want to do this time is go back to my display. And now let's go back into that draft environment. And of course, when I do, it will update and show that I have added this extra member in here. So I'm going to create a new sheet and set my sheet size. I want that to be B. And now if I go to my drawing view wizard, this is how you create a new drawing view, and select the assembly, notice that I can actually pick from my list of display configurations. So I can make a display, or a drawing view rather, of just that one frame member. So I'll hit that in there, and there it is, my frame member. Now with that in there, I could go, for example, and add dimensions to detail the angle, for example, of that cut, or the total length to communicate that fabrication data to whoever this is going to. Let's go back into this draft and let's just make a modification. I'm just going to show this sketch and dynamically edit it. I'm going to change this to 15 inches, for example, and that'll update the size of my frames. Now, going back into my draft environment, it's going to tell me that something has changed with this square box. And when I update my drawing views, it will mark out what has changed in this box, and I can sort of review these and even hit find, and that will bring me right to the area that it's talking about. You see that it's given it a call out showing that this is change number 4. I can go over here and view change number 5. It's this dimension. So what I can also do is I can grab these and I can copy them, and then if I go over here and create a text box, this is a nice way of pasting the changes that I want into a revision history. So for example, I'm just going to get rid of, we don't need to know what sheet they're on, but everything else I guess I'd like to keep. So once I got that, I can then drag it up in here into my revision history.